So, okay, once again, I'll start the session very quickly. So, today we are going to discuss about comparator and DMA controllers, two peripherals of MSP430 microcontroller. So, in this microcontroller, we'll be discussing these two topics today's session. So, comparator is one of the important block for the different main blocks. So, in this successive approximation A to D converter, we'll be using the comparator for comparing the two input voltages, reference voltage and the input voltage. Based on this values, comparator output control logic, it's going to return either 0 or 1. So, if it is 0, that means the input voltage is less than the compared voltage, and otherwise if it is 1 means input voltage is greater than the reference voltage. So based on that successive approximation algorithm, it's this is going to uh, encode this analog value into digital value in the form of binaries, zeros and ones, that we have discussed in our previous class. And one more application of this comparator is as a timer unit. Will be having the capture compare unit. Timer is a part of timer unit. Comparator is having the capture compare unit. So here we'll be using the comparator. Okay. So these are the areas where we'll be using the comparator. Now we'll be discussing the MSP430 comparator with how it is going to be programmed, what are the facilities available in this comparator to make it work for the different applications. So as we said in the previous successive approximation operation, so comparator, it's going to return logic 0 or 1. So based upon the comparator reference voltage, it's going to work. That reference voltage may be internal signal, input signal, or external analog signals. So it is an analog comparator. So in this one, the comparator is a analog comparator. And
వాళ్ళు
so
వాళ్ళు అయిపోయింది నన్ను తీసేసింది అసలు నేను దాన్ని పెట్టుకొని వింటాను దాన్ని నేనని తెలియదు ఆమెకి తీసేసింది పాట పెట్టేసింది పాట ఎంతసేపు పోతా నేను నాకు అర్థం కాల ఈ పాట ఇటు వచ్చింది ఆ టక్మని పెట్టే ఇది హెడ్సెట్ పెట్టేసాను దానికి పాట ఆడొస్తూనే ఉంది ఇది ఈడ ఇంకేడ అర్థం కాలేదు ఏందో అసలు
okay, CB0 and CB1, CB15. So CB0, CB1 and CB15 using the comparator IP selection bits which are there in the control register, CB control register 0. So we are going to program and select any one of the 16 input lines. So here we will having the 16 input lines for comparator input source. Okay. So the reference voltage, if you recollect from the A to D converter in the previous session, we'll be having the different reference voltages 1.5 volts, 2.0 volt and 2.5 volt. Next, comparator generalized block diagram. Here we are having a comparator with a simplified one, V plus signal and V minus signal, and output will be either 0 or 1 depending upon the reference voltage comparison. As we saw in the comparator input lines CB0 to CB15, it is going to take two inputs, V plus and V minus. So V plus, for V plus voltage input, we have 16 lines here. Similarly for V minus input also 16 lines, CB0 to CB15. So in the CB0 to CB15, any one of the input line is selected by this particular, this is a multiplexer. So these two are the multiplexers which will select any one of the CB0 to CB15. Here also from CB0 to CB15, any one of the line is selected, and that is given for the next stage. So for the selection of any one of the input, we have four selection lines: CBIP selection line here, and here also CBIM selection lines. So these two are the bits which are available in the control register CBCTL0. That is the control register which is used to program and select any one of the input lines as to be processed by this particular comparator. Otherwise, if it is for this one, for selecting from inputs either from CBIP selection or CBIM selection, we have to short this particular, that means this CB short bit must be 1, it must be set. Otherwise, if it is 0 means it's going to select the input from the reference voltage source, that is 1.5 volt or 2.5 or 2 volts. So this is this input voltage which you are going to select can be exchanged, that can be used by this programming bit CBEX bit. So this is about the comparator inputs. And a reference selection, whether you want to go for the reference selection voltage through this one, otherwise you want to give input to comparator from CB0 to CB15 lines. Either you can take the input V plus input from these lines, otherwise only from a reference voltage. Like that, that can be chosen by using CB reference selection bit. And reference voltage generator, as we told, three different values: CB reference voltage sources, 1.5 volt, 2.5 volts, that can be selected by this particular, generated by this block, and that must be selected by this block. Next is CB on, whether you want to on your comparator operation or not. That can be done by this CB on bit. All these are the bits available. CBEX is a bit, CBIP selection are the bits, CBIM selection is a bit, CBR selection is the bit, and these are also bits which are available in the control register. And also CBF. After processing through this analog signals, the comparator is going to give either 0 or 1. So that output voltage may be having certain noises that can be eliminated by using the filtering operation. Either you want to on the filter or off the filter, that can be selected by the CBF bit. If you set that bit, then you'll be getting the output as that means filtered output. If it is 0, unfiltered output. Next is CB output polarity. Either you want to get the output either um, plus or minus, that can be selected by the this particular output polarity bit, CB output reading bit. And after getting the comparison output, it is going to rise certain flag. As we said, for every operation of any block, we'll be having certain interrupts enabling bits, and after that interrupt setting bits, CBIFG. Okay. Next, so this is one more simplified block diagram. So previously what we have seen is a comparator B block diagram with all the almost all some of the bits are specified here. So next here we are having comparator A block diagram. I just want to show you here a simplified one, just without showing the much of the bits, no complications. Input voltage VCC 1 by 4th half and VCC double voltage. So these are the reference voltages selection. Already we showed the reference source selection bit, and from this multiplexer it is going to take that inputs, and then that is connected to the analog comparator. Finally, filter output that can be given to the comparator. Output is given to next for activating any one of the flags and corresponding operation. So we'll see what are the bits available in the, just now we have discussed all these bits in our block diagram itself. CBEX, comparator A exchange operation, that means you want to exchange either inputs and inverts the comparator output. It's going to exchange just the comparator inputs and inverts the comparator output. So next, comparator reference selection bits, reference selection bits, and also comparator voltage reference values. These are the different bits which are available in this particular control register. Next, interrupt enable. As we already discussed that for any particular block peripheral device, it is going to have its own interrupts. For activating that particular interrupts, we have to enable the interrupt enable bit. This is a, as this is given for the comparator A, so its convention is here, naming convention is CAIE. If it is a comparator B, it will be CBIE. So if you set this particular bit 1, then only interrupt will be enabled. Here, CAIES is a comparator interrupt edge source selection. That means rising edge or falling edge. Next, CAIFG, it's a flag bit. It's a flag bit based upon the output of the comparator. The flag bit will be set. Okay, so these are the, just now we have discussed in the block diagram itself all these values. So reference bits, selection of reference voltage bits, 2 bits are available, 4 reference voltages. Comparator B control register, it is having this bits, and CBIM selection. If you observe the block diagram, CB0 to CB15. So for this 16 inputs, so if you want to select any one of the input and given to the comparator, for that CBIM selection, 4 bits are available, which is available in the control register 0. Similarly, control register 2 is having the reference voltage selection bit, and CB on bit is available in the CB control register 1. So like the different control registers having the different selection and programming bits, after knowing this particular locations and the registers content, we can easily program the comparator and make it to work for our applications. So this is a filter bit which is available in the control register 1, low pass filter. Okay, so that is about the comparator output bit. So this bit is a output of the comparator. As we said in the starting, if the reference voltage V plus is greater than V minus, output will be 1, and V plus is less than V minus, output is 0. So that will be stored in the, after completion of the comparator operation, that will be set by this comparator, either set to 1, otherwise 0 in control register 1. That bit is available, CB out bit is available in the CB control register 1. Next, CBEX bit. So this CBEX bit is a 5, and CB control register 1, see set 2 inputs are exchanged and output is inverted. So EX bit for inversion of the, if the inputs V plus and V minus are exchanged, then output will be inverted output voltage. So the polarity of the bit, CB output POL. So all these bits we just saw in our block diagram itself. Just once see the block diagram. CB output polarity, CB out bit and out flag, and CBF filter bit. So all these bits can be programmed by the programmer to make use of the comparator for our specific applications. So polarity, control register, and short bit. We discussed this short bit here, CB short bit. If you make this bit 1, then it's going to take the inputs from CB0, any one of the CB0 to CB15 from top V plus connection line, otherwise CB0 to CB15, bottom CBIM selection lines. That is the short bit purpose. Short bit of control register is used to set this bit. The 2 input pins are selected by the CBIE IP selection and CBIM selection bits. So hope you understand the purpose of each and every bit. So based upon this particular programming, we can make use of the comparator for our comparison purpose. The comparator can be used in successive approximation, operation of A to D converters, and also in timer operations. Some of the most important attributes. So very low input current at the comparator inputs CA0 and CA1. So so it can be switched off to minimize the current consumption. So CA on is equal to uh, 0. That means we can make use of the comparator operation off mode. So actually it's going to consume very low input current only, but still we can save that current by making this particular bit reset. Okay, so like that for every, even A to D converter is also ADC on bit is there. If you make that bit 0, immediately the A to D converter block is in the off mode, the current consumption will be saved. So like that, so this is about the we use without interrupt is also possible. Without going for the interrupt facility also, interrupt usage, we can make use of this particular comparator. Next topic is DMA controller. We are all familiar about the this particular DMA operation. Next, so DMA, mainly the purpose of DMA is direct memory access. DMA controller is a direct memory access. So we'll see the generalized DMA we have studied in our computer organization subject. So here the DMA, it's going to if you want to bulk transfer any data from one particular peripheral device to memory, otherwise memory to memory data transfer, or memory to peripheral devices. The data can be transferred, bulk data or huge data if you want to transfer, or block of data if you want to transfer from memory to memory, otherwise memory to peripheral device, otherwise peripheral device to memory. So either way, we can make use of this DMA controller. The advantage of this DMA controller is it's going to take complete control over the all the lines: address bus, data bus, and control bus. These three buses, address bus, data bus, and control bus, these three buses can be completely utilized by the DMA controller for the data transfer from memory to the peripheral devices. Okay, so if any particular peripheral device requests the DMA controller, that means saying that I want to transfer some memory content from me to my memory device, otherwise peripheral to microprocessor also. So in that case, it's going to give one request signal. DMA request signal is given by the peripheral device to the DMA controller. This DMA controller, after receiving a request from the peripheral device, then it will send a request to the microprocessor to make use of these buses. So hold request signal is given to the microprocessor, and after the microprocessor is ready with the for making the free of these three buses, it will send the whole acknowledgement signal to the DMA controller. So then the DMA controller will give the acknowledgement to the peripheral device. So this is the output signal to peripheral device, DMA acknowledgement, and input signal to the request signal from peripheral device, DMA request signal. Similarly, hold request is an input signal to the microprocessor, and hold acknowledgement is the output from the microprocessor to the DMA controller. So like that, it will make a DMA controller will act as a mediator between the devices which they want to share the um data transfer from peripheral device to memory, otherwise memory to peripheral device, or memory to memory. So like that, it will do the controlling operation and allow the complete data transfer at a fast rate. It can be used. So that is the steps which we have just discussed in the block diagram. Microprocessor writes a, that's what we have studied just now, discussed. Microprocessor writes a DMA controller and peripheral device to a particular request of DMA operation. When peripheral device is ready, it sends a DMA request signal. That's what we saw here in the block diagram. It is sending a request signal, DMA request signal from peripheral device to the DMA controller. All these points we have just discussed, and After getting the request signal from peripheral device, DMA controller requests the CPU. That is the first it has to get a request from the peripheral device DMA controller, then it is going to request the request for the CPU microprocessor. Okay, hold request signal. After CPU is ready, then it is giving a hold acknowledgement signal to the DMA controller, and after getting acknowledgement from a microprocessor, it gives a peripheral device acknowledgement signal, DMA acknowledgement signal. So all these things we just discussed. Okay, the main operation is it's going to take the control of all the three buses so that it can easily transfer make the data transfer from different peripheral devices to memory, otherwise memory to the peripheral device. So like the two devices, they can share the or exchange the information at a faster rate. That is the purpose of DMA controller. So coming to MSP430 DMA controller, here you will be having the 3-channel DMA controller. That means you are having 3 DMA units here. If you observe here, this is DMA channel 0, this is DMA channel 1, and this is DMA channel N. Actually they have given for generalized one, so that they have mentioned here N. Actually in our MSP430 series processor, we are having three DMA channels. Okay, now we'll see one of the each and every channel is having the same operation. We'll study about the in detail about the one particular channel that is applied for remaining all the channels. We'll see single unit here now. So previously we saw all the units. So these are the trigger lines. That means these are the request lines. The peripheral devices or memory device, anyone which is requesting the operation of DMA, that is going to be selected by any one device. Here you are having 31 lines. That is 0 to 31. Totally 32 triggering lines are there. And for the selection of any one particular unit, DMA 0, that means if it is a 0th channel 1 related multiplexer, you will be having here 0 DMA 0 trigger selection bit. 5 bits are available. Okay, in this 5 bits, by using programming these particular 5 bits which are available in control register, we can select any one of the input lines so that that is connected to the DMA channel for the data transfer, data exchange between the devices. Now we'll see what are the some available 4 line triggers we have shown here. DMA request and timer A. TACCR means timer A capture compare register 2. CCIFG flag trigger, and timer B capture compare register CCIFG trigger line. Serial data receive, serial data transmit ready, and DAC 12, that means digital to analog converter 0 IFG flag. So like that, if you observe here, what are the previously we have studied peripheral units, we are observing here for the data transfer requesting operation. Okay, so multiplier will have the hardware multiplier if you recollect your functional block diagram, and these USART and serial data transmit receive, all these things we are going to study the serial communication units in the 5th unit of MSP 430. So this is about the inputs which are requesting the DMA services. These are the inputs. Sources are the input units which are requesting peripheral devices. Simply we can say timer A is also one of the peripheral device, timer B is also one of the peripheral device, D to A converter is a peripheral device, A to D converter is a peripheral device. So like that, number of peripheral device, multiplier is one of the peripheral device. So these are the peripheral device which are requesting our services of the DMA controller for the data transfer. Okay, next coming to how this can be done, data transfer. If you want to send some information from one source to another destination, we should have the source address and destination address. So for that one, DMA 0, as we are discussing about the channel 0, DMA 0 SA source address. Similarly, DMA 0 destination address. These two will give the just like postal information like thing. That means if we want to communicate from one location to another location, we must know the source location and destination location also. So like that, for the DMA is need to communicate between, establish a communication between source and destination. It should have the both source and destination addresses. So for that one, source address and destination address registers. And also size, how much amount of data you want to transmit. For that one, size of the data that is there. And then also next, so now DMA enable bit. So this bit is used to enable the DMA operation. Next, DMA source byte, whether you want to transmit the data in terms of bytes or word size. So source byte and destination, SR for source, and here DST for destination. Okay, same lines will be there here, and source increment and decrement, destination increment operation, either increment or decrement. So and also DMA transfer modes, in which mode the data is to be transferred from the two peripheral devices, source to destination. Okay, so these bits will decide how the programming can be done for the DMA controller to do the data transfer between the two peripheral devices. We'll see each and every one. So here X designates, DMA X designates either it is a zeroth channel, first channel, or second or nth channel. So that is here we have not mentioned anything here. Generalized explanation is given here. DMA channel number. It is going to indicate the DMA channel number. DMA 0, we'll just assume here 0 SA is a 32-bit register which specifies the source address for the single transfer or the first source address for the block transfer. If you want to transfer at a time one byte or one word of information, then starting address it is going to specify. Otherwise, first to source address, if you want to transfer block transfer, that means if you want to transfer n number of bytes, then starting address location is specified and the address is source address is incremented. If you observe in our previous diagram, increment and source address increment and destination address, source and destination address increment lines are available here. Okay, next, number of bytes, how many bytes you want to transfer, that will be specified by the DMA size register. This register will specify the size of how many bytes. As it is a 16-bit register, the maximum you can transfer is, that means 2 power 16. 16 means 64 kilobytes. 64 kilobytes are words. That means already we discussed that either you can transfer at a time byte of content, otherwise word content. That will be specified by this particular uh, size. Okay, so DMA X control register, it is having all these bits. Just we have discussed source increment bit specifies the DMA source increment or decrement operation. Source byte, either you want to transmit a byte or word, that will be specified by this one. If this bit is set, that means you are transmitting byte. If this bit is set, you want to increment the address, source address. And DMA enable bit, DMA operation enable bit, data transfer mode. Here you will be having certain modes. So these modes, 8 modes are available. Those modes are programmed by these 3 bits. Next, DMA destination byte. If we are transmitting a byte from the source, then we have to program this destination is also byte. Okay. Similarly, DMA destination increment specifies the DMA destination increment operation. Similarly, here decrement. If this bit is set means you are incrementing the destination address. If this bit is reset means you are decrementing the destination address. So next, modes. 4 modes are available. DMA addressing modes. So here, how you are going to address the DMA? So either a fixed source address and fixed destination address. That is the first mode. Second mode is fixed source address and block of destination addresses. Third one, block of source addresses and single fixed destination address. Next, block of source addresses and block of destination addresses. So like that, 4 different addressing modes are available for the transmission of data from one peripheral to another peripheral using DMA controller. Okay. Next, so for that one blocks specifying a diagram. So here single source to fixed address to the fixed address. Single one is connected to the single one. So you'll have the single line connection. Whereas here fixed address, you're transmitting from fixed address, that will be transferred for the block of addresses, not only single address, more than one address. It's going to address space. In the address space, it is going to copied. So these are the memory location addresses. Here from block of addresses, you'll see here more than one address location you're transmitting through DMA controller to the single, that is fixed address. Okay, here from block of input addresses and block of output addresses. So block of addresses to block of addresses, like that different addressing modes are there for transmission of data from using DMA controller to the one to another peripheral devices. So DMA transfer modes, as I told you, 8 different modes. In this one, 2 different modes are having the same meaning here. So that's why totally you'll be having 6 modes. 3 bits are used. Here 00, that is the 0th mode. So in this one, single transfer, each transfer requires each and every transfer requires a single trigger. Block transfer, if you want to transfer a particular block of content, that means more than 1 byte of information and 1 word of information, at least complete block requires only one trigger. One time triggering is enough for transmitting either 10 bytes or 20 bytes, like that. Okay. Burst block transfer, that means CPU activity is interlude with a block transfer. In this one, burst block transfer, completely CPU activity is interleaved, that means it is not activated, that means it is in the completely inactive mode. For burst block transfer, nothing should be disturbed for the transmission from one peripheral to the memory location. So complete CPU activity is made inactive. So repeated single transfer. So each transfer requires a once again trigger, and a repeated block transfer, complete block transfer with only one trigger. Next, repeated burst block transfer. So this is related to trigger previous 3 transfer modes, but the variation is after doing this one, after completion of single transfer, DMA enable bit will be reset. That means once again, if you want to transfer single transfer, we have to set this particular enable bit. Whereas here it will be in the active mode. That is the variation between a repeated. That means you want to go for once again single transfer in repeated way. That means don't need to go for the enabling once again bit because it is in the repeated mode. We can go for a number of transfers with a single enable, one time enabling the DMA enable bit. So that is the variation here. Enable bit is always set for repeated transfer. If you complete the repeated transfer operation, we need to make it as a 0. Whereas here, one time you are going to enable here for single transfer or block transfer or burst block transfer, it will be activated for only one time transfer. Either you can transfer one byte or word and one block of data, or burst block of data. That's all. After completion of transmission, immediately DMA enable bit will be reset. Whereas here in repeated mode, it will be set for repeated accessing of the DMA controller for data transmission. So that is about the 6 different modes of DMA transfer. Okay, so whatever the just now discussed, everything is given in registers. DMA control register, DMA channel X control register, DMA X control register, that is DMA 0 control register or DMA 1 or N. We've already discussed all the bits within the block diagram itself. I just want to show you the bits. DMA source increment 2 bits, source address unchanged, 00 is unchanged, 01 source address is unchanged, whereas 10 source address is decremented, 11 is source address is incremented. Okay, whereas destination address increment operation, whatever we have discussed for source address, same for the destination. 00 is destination address unchanged, 01 is destination address is unchanged, and 10 is destination address is decremented, and destination address is incremented for both ones. So transfer modes we have discussed in that elaborately here previously in our tabular column. 00 what is the mode of each and every single transfer, block transfer, burst block transfer for these two, and repeated single transfer, block transfer, and repeated burst block transfer for these two modes. Okay, so this bit is not defined here. Totally 8 bits are available. In this one, these 2, 4 and 3. Totally 7 bits are defined, and last bit is not defined. Next, DMA operation request bit. No DMA start 0 means it's not, no request is not received yet. 1 means start the DMA request operation. DMA operation is 0 means it's DMA not interrupted, it is idle. If it is 1, interrupted by the non-maskable interrupt. If the DMA operation is performing, still any non-maskable interrupt occurs, then it can be stopped. And DMA enable bit, interrupt enable bit, and IFG flag bit, and DMA enable on and off of the DMA operation, enabling and disabling the DMA operation. This is interrupt enable, this is DMA operation on and off. This is a source byte or word, which one you want to transmit, either byte way data transmission or word wise you want to transmit. 0 means word, 1 means byte. Same thing for the destination. This is for source and this is for the destination. And the clock signal, rising edge trigger or high level triggering. So that is about the each and every bit of the DMA control register, so that hope you have understand how the DMA is going to be programmed to transmit data from peripheral device to the memory, or memory to the peripheral device, or one of these devices. So like that we can perform the DMA operation for the block transfer or bulk data transmission from the one of the peripheral to the IO devices, otherwise IO devices to the memory unit, and memory to memory data transfer is possible with the DMA controller. So hope you understand the DMA operation. Go through the slides. Once again, I am going to share all the slides with you. So thank you.